This is Missin' Man. So, Missin' Man, despite it being part of the concept EP, it's probably the most emotional and personal song that we've wrote yet.
It comes forth in the story chronologically and kind of shows the aftermath of Johnny's death from a different perspective.
After listening to Viper Queen, we can tell that Johnny's been murdered, and it's really taken us from that high rush of emotions down to an emotion that's more sad and dismal.
It tells the tale of a man who went missing. He was a musician and he used to play at his local bar, and the people in the bar, they never learnt his name, they just knew who to expect when they came.
Now, no one knew the words to his songs and no one could remember his face. He just provided an alright background for their conversations. His only friends were his guitar and a glass of rum.
It takes us back to one night the man finishes his usual routine and sits by the bar when suddenly there's a smash on the floor and people are erupting and cheers of laughter and wine seeping through the floor, and the stem of a wine glass kind of rolls over and hits him by the side of his foot. He cries and he walks out.
So weeks go by and people start to slowly notice Johnny's disappearance. One of the regular pub goers goes into the bar and he asks the barman, "Where's Johnny gone?" And the only thing that was left was a guitar and a half-drank glass of rum. He was never seen again.
We were sat in rehearsal one day, and the chord progression kind of just came to me as if the Messiah to a prophet. I'd come up with a few chords that I liked the order of, and it evolved from there.
For the bass line on Missin' Man, I went for a lot more of a melodic approach than I usually do. I usually go more rhythmic and syncing up with Adam, our beautiful drummer. And I don't say beautiful lightheartedly. It sounds stupid saying I went more melodic than rhythmic when there's no drums in the verses, but I think it makes sense when you listen to the song because the guitar rhythm carries everything, and then the bass line I feel like adds a little extra something.
This song is the longest on the EP, and the acoustic version, which comes out tomorrow, is even longer than that. And for me, it's not as much about me playing. I just emphasise certain parts of the song. It's not a drumming song at all. It's more of a song that you connect to on an emotional level.
When I wrote the guitar riff for the song, I wanted it to sound a bit similar to the way that George Harrison's guitar sounds in While My Guitar Gently Weeps, to make it sound like it's crying, and I'm really just playing off the emotions that the song gives off. Despite how cheesy it sounds, it felt real when I play it live, and I'd always go, it's the one song in the set you'll see if you come see us live, I go very serious during the song, because it just makes me feel that way when I play the song. And I also added bends to the riff during the verse, and that's because I think bends give off a certain personality when depending on whose hands are playing it. So when I play it, it feels very personal, and it just, especially when someone cries, it feels like a guitar bend to me. That's the way I interpret it. So, Right, what are we analysing today?
It's Missin' Man. I feel like the first line of the song, not gonna lie, I think the first line is probably one of my favourites. Have you heard of the Tales of the Missin' Man?
It's rhetorical as well, which I think is very significant in the song because there's a lot of rhetorical stuff said in it.
Yeah, in the first verse, it's basically just giving you a description of kind of what the whole song is going to be about. Obviously, it's about this missing man. It's about him and it's about his troubles. It goes on to say, but nothing kills the pain that's in his head, and he cries one last time because he can see what's coming next. And I think it kind of just shows that how after however long he spent working on his career after Missy, it still hasn't gotten as far as he wanted to go. I mean, he sacrificed a lot for it, and he's basically in the same position that he was in before. When we first meet him, he's singing in the bar, the place where he met Missy, and now he's in New Orleans, and wherever he is. Obviously, he first took off to New Orleans. We don't know where he is now, but he's in the exact same position. He hasn't developed his career. The only thing this time is that he hasn't got her or Little Wilson.
We're talking about each song, it's a different emotion coming out.
Yeah.
And it's what do you call it? The stages of grief. Because it does make me think of that, and especially with the song being sad, the lyrics are really sad
I know,
when I
yeah.
listen to them.
It doesn't matter what mood I'm in, before we start singing this song, as soon as we start singing it, I'm like,
Yeah.
I just feel upset, and I feel
Yeah.
like this cloud of like sadness around us. When you actually look into the lyrics even further, it gets even more sad. I mean, you can say, hey, Johnny's trying to like numb the pain with the drinking.
Yeah.
He's drinking more. He's obviously working at a bar every weekend as well, so he's around drink all the time, and I feel like he's trying to numb the pain and nothing's working.
Yeah. Passes the iPad then. So in the chorus it says, missing man, where did you go? I want to know. And the original line was, what did you do? I don't know why I started, because I accidentally sang I want to know one time.
I think it was the first gig we did together, you were singing it, and I was like, do you know what, that actually sounds really good.
Yeah.
Like, I think it sounded better.
I don't think I've ever heard you say that lyric, so even
Yeah.
from when you sang it, I always thought...
It was that. Well, I heard it, and like, I mean, I think everyone just thought, oh, well, yeah, we'll just stick with that. It just kind of worked, it made sense.
Well, I mean, with a lot of them ideas, they just come out randomly and then seem to stick. It's never forced. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the best recipe for it, really, especially that being the chorus.
Yeah.
I'm very proud.
So he sits down by a crowd of broken souls. You see, he's forgotten now. He's sat on all on his own. They laugh and joke, coming songs of rock and roll, songs the man with the band had played just earlier on. So it's kind of saying like the humming his songs, like the crowd, but they don't even know what it is, what's in the head, that it's Johnny's songs. He's like not important enough for them to remember. So they're like humming along to something that's kind of just like basically background music to them. They didn't appreciate when he was on the stage. You know, he's gotten off stage now and you can hear people singing along, but he wants to make more of a difference than them just humming along to songs that they don't even know what they're singing, like humming along to.
The next lyric is, the more drinks and the more the world starts to blur. And that can mean sort of, obviously, you get blurred vision when you're drunk, but it's also a metaphorical blurriness. His life's becoming a lot of a blur. All he's thinking about is Missy, but even that starts to disappear after a while, and obviously it's related to drink. Her ruby hair now flames, hell it started to burn. Are you trying to say that ginger people? I find this very offensive. You'll have to take this out.
No, it's not that. It's just that, like...
Well, what is it? Go on then.
Well, her ruby hair now flames, hell it started to burn. It's kind of just disintegrating from his mind. Like, it's blurry, you can't really see straight.
Yeah.
It's like... he's just burning up. Like, his thoughts, his body, everything's just burning up. He's not himself.
The key thing's that he doesn't get to see her anymore. And is that a reason why he's drinking as well?
Yeah.
Because he just has...
Well, he's drinking because his life hasn't panned out the way that he thought it
Right,
was.
okay.
Obviously, he left because he wanted to be the next big thing. He wanted to be successful in his music career. But it hasn't happened, has it? So,
you know...
all that was for nothing.
They're not all that lucky. And he cries one last time because he can't see his beautiful girl. I think this is the first part in the whole EP where one of them cries. It's definitely the first time Johnny's cried.
In his life. Do you think?
Maybe.
So, we're at the bridge now.
Which means, so, I'm singing.
I'm just going to praise you.
All
I'm
right, go
saying
on,
Daniel added this bridge that we absolutely loved when we first heard it. Because Missing Man, obviously, before didn't have this.
Well, obviously I played it live with yous, and it does stay pretty, like, similar throughout the whole song. Same chords, same verse chords, chorus chords.
Yeah.
And it was just, if I felt like it needed some kind of chord change, and I added that in, and then the lyrics just naturally came out one night. Obviously the whole song, well, the whole EP is about Missy and Johnny's interpretations.
Their perspectives.
Yeah, the perspectives. But I wanted to touch on another side of it, so I picked sort of the people in the bar, what they would think of it. So it said, you played the chords like no one else. You could explain how we all felt. Now the world turned dark without your light when you went missing on that night.
Yeah.
And that's for the people who were watching Johnny in the bar. I thought it'd be interesting just to add another interpretation on it. Cause
definitely. It kind of gives you the perspective of the people who actually did care. So...
Yeah, and they didn't get to say it to Johnny as well, which I think's quite important in the bigger scheme of things. Cause
it's quite sad.
He would have been happier
if
he knew how many people cared.
But then again, would it have been enough for him? I don't know whether it would have been enough for him.
It definitely would have helped if someone was like, I miss you.
or if someone appreciated the fact that
yeah.
like, you know what I mean, like people appreciated his chords, people appreciated his lyrics.
Yeah, and I liked having that bit in as well. You played the chords like no one else, because it's like he was a one of a kind guitarist, and that he didn't notice that himself, which is cool.
No, yeah, it's very cool.
We've thought a lot with this song, probably more than the others, I'd say.
I just like playing around with the the audience perspective, so like the listener's perspective on the characters. So like when you're listening to this song, you feel sympathy for him. You feel like you get a sense of like, you feel sad and you feel regretful that something has happened to this guy.
Yeah.
And then if you were to listen to the full story, you might feel differently, or do you know what I mean? Like it's completely different, and I feel like this song it touches. If you really listen, I feel like it can somewhat touch upon his selfishness and his high expectations, because it seems like nothing's ever good enough for him.
Yeah, it's like buried in there.
Yeah, so maybe he did see those people who were like saying those things, and he just didn't care, or he wanted more.
I mean, there's so much to think about with it, and like, because we had some calls as well, didn't we? Just the two of us going over what we could do for the songs and what ideas we have, and brought that together. And I think especially in them calls we found loads of little gems that we've sort of planted in the songs throughout all of them.
I love the last line. Is this the last line?
Nope.
Yeah, this is the last line of like the verse, because like it kind of calls back to one of the earlier verses. So if we go up here, it says the man drinks up the rum left by a friend, and then when we go to the last line, in one of the last verses, it says there's just a guitar stood alone by some rum left by a friend. So it kind of calls back to the beginning, but rather than the man being left alone with some rum, the guitar's left alone with some rum left by Johnny. Basically, they don't know who the man is. They just remember that there's supposed to be music playing every weekend, and now there's not. The only thing that's left is some rum and a guitar that's been sat there for so long, it's almost decoration now. No one's claimed it.
When we sing Missing Man, especially when we're live on stage, especially like when you sing, it's very soft and intimate, and then that chorus comes in, and it's like...
The last chorus really is like a hard... Well, compared to the rest of the song, it's quite hard hitting.
Yeah.
Like we both go for it, don't we?
It's still really emotional though. Like there's a difference between just sort of going for them roaring vocals and then still singing with passion, but it's also loud and powerful. I think it's a really special moment.
It's satisfying because like you say, it's very soft throughout the whole song. It's kind of like you're thinking, where's this going? Is it going to continue this way? And I feel like if the people listening were to stop listening, then if they'd missed a line, they've missed a line of the story.
Right, yeah.
And it's a hard one to do live, because obviously when you are a rock band, people some people appreciate that slow music, some people
just want to
nick off for a pint, some people just aren't there for it, but the people who do stand there and the people who do really take it in will be able to understand it much better, and then when it gets to that last chorus,
it was worth it.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. So the whole thing with the Missing Man is that despite him playing on stage all the time, they didn't know who he actually was.
I like that it kind of reflects real life. People don't tend to care unless it affects them, and Johnny at that point didn't have anyone who cared about him.
To everyone else, it's the Missing Man, but to us, it's Johnny.
You can listen to the song and sort of have your own interpretation of it, which I think is really interesting. The first time I heard this song, I thought it was about male suicide, which I thought was really interesting because there's not too many songs that speak on like male suicide, and I think it's a really important thing to talk about.
Yeah, this song is quite heavy. It's definitely want to contrast the rest of the songs on the album. So if you want to sort of get a contrasting sound from us, it's definitely worth checking out.
So, if you are sad or jealous of people that are sad and want to be sad, please listen to this song.
Stream Missing Man, or you too will be on a missing poster.
Missing man, missing man, where did you go? I wanna know. Missing man.